Let's continue with our analysis of Chrysothemis' character. Another thing that we find noticeable in her character is further exploration of theme of deception. See, if you read her speech, she speaks this sentence: I suffer too. If I had the strength, I would show how I hate them. Which means Chrysothemis does not support Agamemnon's assassination by Clytemnestra. I suffer too. She also feels sympathetic towards her father's tragic death, but she finds herself too weak to do anything good enough against the killers, which means she is pretending to be comfortable with Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, although inwardly she does not have a good opinion of them. So in a way she is deceiving them into believing that she does not bear a grudge against these two, although in fact she does. This is what we understand from her own dialogues. Now what we need to analyze here is how far do we think she is sincere in making this statement, because according to her statement she is deceiving Clytemnestra, but at the same time there is a possibility that she is actually making Electra believe she holds grudge against Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, but in fact she does not. So there is a possibility that we need to bear in mind while analyzing her character. Who is she deceiving, Electra or Clytemnestra? So we have to analyze it as we read the play. Now as we continue with her speech and notice a few points she talks about, we become suspicious about Chrysothemis' sincerity to Agamemnon. She does not seem to be interested in seeking his revenge, because she has good terms with Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, and this point becomes obvious, quite easily understandable if we look at two things. First of all, she shares this secret plan that Clytemnestra has made in collaboration with Aegisthus to imprison Electra in a cave so as to silence her forever. For all these years, they have allowed Electra to stay with them in the palace, but despite that, she still continues to lament her father's death and has not developed good terms with them. So now, in order to get rid of her, this is the plan that they have. Now according to Chrysothemis, she has not received this information directly from Clytemnestra, rather from somebody who overheard her, or probably when she was talking out loud to herself. So she herself overheard her saying this thing. And the next thing is there is, you know, another point that she shares with, uh, it, and that is Clytemnestra's nightmare, a dream that she saw. So, Chrysothemis' familiarity with their secret plan and then Clytemnestra's nightmare suggests that she has good terms with Clytemnestra and Aegisthus. So, her sincerity to Electra, or her claim that if she had power she would do something against the killers, does not sound to be very convincing. She is simply sympathetic towards his father's tragic death, her father's tragic death, but she practically does not want to do anything against these two murderers. So, as readers, we have to closely analyze Chrysothemis. And another thing that I want to add here is, and this is a task for all of you to consider and develop your own understanding while you are reading the text. Do you think that Chrysothemis represents reason? That her viewpoint is based on reason? It is a sensible decision? What do you think? Because during her speech she blames Electra for being unreasonable. This is what she says: "You won't listen to reason at all, will you?" So if you look at this dialogue, "you won't listen to reason" means that she claims her viewpoint is quite solid. It is practical approach that she is proposing to Electra to adopt, to forget about the past and live the present, accept what has happened and develop good terms with Clytemnestra and Aegisthus. So in a way she calls Electra unreasonable and herself adopting a reasonable approach. Reasonable here means sensible, intelligent. So this is all we have to say about Chrysothemis' speech to Electra, and afterwards we find Electra's response to what Chrysothemis has talked about. She, Electra, does not step back after all the scolding, after all this reprimand that she receives from Chrysothemis. She still is adamant to avenge Agamemnon, and even she expresses her determination to pursue this goal even at the cost of her life. She does not fear death. She does not step back only because she is a woman and powerless, and the enemy that she is dealing with are far more powerful. They are not ordinary people, but rather king and queen of Argus, and nobody can certainly question their power and authority. So this actually shows how determined and how extraordinarily, how heroically courageous Electra is, that despite knowing her powerless state, she does not change her mind. And after that, we are going to discuss Clytemnestra's dream that Chrysothemis shares with Electra, and this dream is actually very significant as it foreshadows the subsequent action in the play. What is going to happen next? So let's stop here. We'll talk about Clytemnestra's dream in our next lecture. Thank you.